right, gang. I am super, super, super excited. I'm honored. I am humbled that this young man who I've had a chance to watch his entire career, didn't even know him, just was so impressed by not only his God-given ability, but the way he carried himself, his humbleness, and just his tenacity, how much he came from, where he came from. I know a little bit about his story, but I don't know all his story. But I just bought the book. I'm going to read the book. But this gentleman, first round NBA draft pick from a small school that you never would have thought that they'd had a first round NBA draft pick. But he went on to become a four-time NBA All-Star, four-time, to be one of the greatest players in the world. Someone once said there's only been 5,000 players that's ever played in the NBA, only 5,000 in the world. He not only been played in the NBA for all those years, but he's a four-time NBA All-Star, Olympic gold medal winner representing the United States. He won a gold medal, guys. You know how many guys have gold medals in basketball? You can probably count them on probably 50 fingers. That's probably about it. He's one of those guys. Okay, his author name, his book is God in Starbucks. Hopefully we get to talk a little bit about that. He's a motivational speaker. He's a community activist. He's a father. He's got a son, I think, that plays college basketball. Yeah. But he's just an amazing young man. I told you guys a story about when I spoke to him. He told me, he shared with me what he did the night they won the NBA championship, and it just touched my soul, my spirit. And I couldn't wait to hear him share whatever was on his heart to share with you guys. And I've seen him on several interviews with TNT talking about his journey and his life. And so I couldn't wait for him to share whatever's in his heart to share with you guys. So with that said, you guys all come out of mute and let's show Mr. Baker how much we appreciate him taking time from his very, very busy schedule and coming to share with us. So please come off of mute and give Mr. Vin Baker some serious love.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jordan, Walter, for having me on. I'm very grateful that you considered me worthy to be on this awesome conference. I expect greatness youth conference. I'm really excited and blessed and fortunate that you considered me. So thank you guys for having me. I'm just as elated to be on the conference today, and thinking about for the last month or so about the things that I wanted to talk to. I'll share a little bit about my story, but I want to give you guys some nuggets to some gems hopefully to leave here with about greatness and expecting it and what to expect of yourselves and how to achieve it. And just basically through my story, the things that I've gone through and things that I've seen and my experiences, and certainly some of the experiences that I'm experiencing now, coaching here with the world champion Milwaukee Bucks. First, I'll just give you a little bit of background. As Mr. Jordan said, I'm Vin Baker, assistant coach with the Milwaukee Bucks. Grew up in a small town in Old Saybrook, Connecticut. Not really a basketball hotbed, but I'm the son of a preacher, a pastor. My dad's a pastor to this day, and a first lady. My parents are wonderful parents, and basketball to me it was my first love, but it didn't love me back the way that I loved it. And so when I was a freshman and a sophomore in high school, I didn't even make the basketball team. My freshman year, I was cut from the basketball team. And my sophomore year, I only played on the junior varsity team. And so then my senior year, my junior year, my senior year, I played varsity. And the reason I like to share that part of my journey, the high school journey with you guys, is because this place that I got to, the Olympics, all NBA, it didn't happen when I was just because I loved the game. I had some pitfalls. I had coaches tell me, you're not good enough. I had coaches say, you're not ready, you're not strong enough. So part of expecting greatness from me and then getting to a level where I got to in basketball is you guys got to believe in yourselves, right? You have to believe even when you're told no, or you don't make it the first time around, expecting greatness is not listening to someone else say, you can't do it. So when my coach told me as a sophomore in high school and a freshman that I wasn't good enough, to me, what he said wasn't good enough. I had to continue to work hard and believe in myself, and I expected greatness for myself. So think about these numbers for 1 second, or these years. I'll make it metric for you. In 1987, when I was a sophomore in high school, my coach said I wasn't good enough to make the team, and I did make the team. In 1993, 6 years later, I went from not making my high school team to being the 8th pick in the NBA draft. So only 6 years from not making the team, 6 years later, I was an NBA first round pick.
Wow.
Seven years later, from not making the high school team, so my second year in the NBA, I was an NBA All-Star. So expecting greatness doesn't, you have to expect it of yourselves. Believe in yourself. That's what I want to tell you guys. Believe in yourself. Even when the odds and the coaches and whoever your peers say that you can't, you have to believe that you can. So success and greatness comes from hard work and dedication and consistent hard work. So I didn't just jump from not making the team in 1987 to being the 8th pick in the NBA draft in 1993. I had to have consistent hard work. So that's one of the things I want you guys to write down is consistent hard work and believing in yourself. Believe in yourself and have consistent hard work. So from 1987 to 1993, I worked harder than anyone. I didn't think about the people that told me I couldn't do it. I just thought about what I thought I could do, all right? So I'll talk about one of the guys that you guys might be most familiar with, and I'll continue to talk about my journey during the time. And then at the end, I want you guys to ask me any questions that you want to ask me. But one of the guys that I work with on a day-to-day basis, I've been working with him for the last 5 years, that is actually, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player on the planet, is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I've had the absolute pleasure and honor to work with this young man since he's been 22 years old. And I can tell you he's the hardest worker that I've ever seen. He expects greatness from himself. But one of the things I want you guys to think about as I talk about Giannis, one of the biggest things or characteristics that he has that shocks me every day is he doesn't talk about being the greatest player on the earth. He doesn't talk about being the best player. He doesn't talk about being better than Durant or better than LeBron. He just talks about the process of getting better. All right. And so I want you guys to think about, not about being Giannis, not about being Kevin Durant, not about being LeBron, not about being Steph Curry. Think about the process of how I could be the best Fortnite kid, how I could be the best Metcalf, right? How I can be the best Walter Jordan, not how I can be the best somebody else. I got to expect greatness from myself, because all of our greatness comes with a different level. To me, greatness is like fingerprints. Everyone has a different level of greatness, right? So, but I will say what's similar and what's the same in all of our greatness and expecting greatness is our work ethic, how hard we work. So I'll tell you some neat things that I know Giannis won't mind me sharing with you guys, is like, this kid works so hard. Like, he's been the 2-time MVP in the league. He's won a world championship now, and he's been the NBA Finals MVP. And I can tell you guys, every single day this guy walks into the gym, it is almost as if, and I mean this sincerely, I know this is going to sound coachy, like, nah, it can't be true. Then I'm telling you this, the truth. Every day Giannis walks into the gym, he takes the court as if he's never played the game before. He's interested in learning how do I get better at this, and how do I get better at that? And sometimes when myself or Josh Oppenheimer or anybody on the coaching staff says anything to him, he'll say, I want to get better. Teach me more. So a part of expecting greatness and becoming great is wanting to learn. Even when you think you're the best, you want to learn more. This is coming from, in my opinion, the best player on the planet, every day walking in and saying, what can I do to get better today? So expecting greatness and working hard. One thing 2 years ago when he won his first MVP here in Milwaukee, they had a big parade for him in Milwaukee. And this is the first time I think I'm saying this out loud publicly. So I'm sharing a first time story. And I'm sure he won't mind it. But they threw this big parade for him. And as Mr. Jordan said, I've been all-star. I won a gold medal. I've been all NBA. I've even had my own brand Jordan sneaker called the Pro Strong that's out in stores still to this day. I actually have a really good relationship with Michael to this day. He's an awesome, awesome mentor. But a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago, Giannis won his first MVP. And they had this big parade. This was pre-COVID. And they had this big parade downtown Milwaukee. You know, it's a big thing for our city and the organization. And he gets up on stage, and I know him. This is like my second or third year with him. And the crowd is going crazy. It's the MVP, and they're chanting MVP, MVP. And I was in the crowd too. I didn't get a VIP section that day. I was just in the crowd too. And so what was interesting is he gets on stage and he shushes the whole crowd. He quiets everyone down. And he thanks everyone. He thanks the organization, thanks his teammates. And then he said the most, at the time, I said, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard. He said, I don't want you to call me MVP anymore after today.
Wow.
I'm like, what?
Wow.
I'm like, come on, man. Nobody's that humble. Nobody's that. Listen, I've only been an all-star, and I want you to call me that every day, right? So he said, guys, he said, I don't want to be called MVP anymore after today until I win a world championship. And I was like, geez, wow, that is amazing and at this time, he's 25 years old.
Wow. And
he said, I don't want to be called, he said this to a whole crowd, thousands and thousands of people. Now, keep in mind, here's some more numbers for you. He said this first time MVP, 25 years old. The Milwaukee Bucks hadn't won a championship for the last 50 years.
Wow.
And he says to the crowd with his confidence, I don't want you to call me this anymore until we win a world championship. So after that, the next year he wins MVP again, but we're eliminated from the playoffs by the Miami Heat. Do you guys, I don't know if you guys remember this at all, but last year we had to go into a bubble to play away from, was when COVID was happening. The NBA took us to Disney and brought about 16 teams there to compete for world championships, and the Lakers ended up winning the championship in the bubble. But in that bubble, an interesting thing happened, and this is something I want you guys to think about when I'm talking about greatness: character. You have to have great character. Anybody know what great character is? Can somebody help me out really quick? How about Fortnite Kid? What's your definition of great character?
My definition for great character is like when you work hard at something, and when you have like the guts to do something.
Yep.
And it's basically it's kind of like just stepping up for yourself.
Awesome. That's an awesome, awesome answer. How about the Metcalfs? That's a great answer, Fortnite Kid. What about the Metcalfs? Can one of you guys give me a quick definition of what you think great character is?
A great character is like having like a great personality as a person.
Yep. Awesome. And so one of the definitions of character, and you guys can remember this, is character is who you are when other people aren't around. Who you are when other people aren't around. That's really who your character is. So anyways, one of the things that happened to us in the bubble was we were competing for a championship. We were playing Orlando Magic in the first half or in the first round of the playoffs in the bubble. And if you guys remember, in Kenosha, Wisconsin, a young man by the name of Jacob Blake had an incident with the police. And so our guys, the Milwaukee Bucks, we decided to boycott a game in Orlando. And it was great. That's what, to me, showed great character by a bunch of young men who stood up for something that they believed in, right? So we decided to not go out and play against the Orlando Magic. We were leading the series 3-1. This happened to this young man, Jacob Blake, and the guys, the players decided, you know, we got to make a stand. It's bigger than basketball. It's bigger than anything that we're trying to accomplish here in the bubble. Something happened in our community that we need to stand up for. And so the guys proceeded to walk out on game 5 versus the Orlando Magic, the actual closeout game. And the reason I bring this story up, guys, is because when you're expecting greatness from yourself or expecting to be great, you've got to do something bigger than yourself that feels like it's bigger than just you. Either that's for your family, for your brother, for your mother. When you expect greatness or want greatness, it's got to feel like it's going to benefit somebody other than just yourself. That's greatness. Whether that's being successful, whether that's helping someone across the street, whether that's helping somebody with their homework. Greatness, expecting greatness isn't just getting a massive contract or getting a massive deal. It's when you feel like you're helping somebody else, that's greatness. So when people ask me, I'll share a funny story with you. When I was writing this a few weeks ago, and people talk about the Bucks, and I'll get a chance to air this, our championship. I heard someone say, a former player say the other day, like, the Bucks were only a Kevin Durant toenail away from being eliminated from the playoffs. Do you guys remember that when against the Brooklyn Nets, right? Yes. And Kevin Durant shot the 3-pointer out of the 2-pointer, and his toe was right on the line, and everyone was like, "Oh man, if Kevin Durant had have made that, then the Bucks wouldn't have won a championship. And oh man, if Kyrie Irving had been playing, and oh man, if James Harden's hamstring, all these things." And to me, that's great for sports. But to me, our championship was won a year prior when we walked out on a playoff game.
Absolutely.
To show the world that we're doing something bigger. We have something bigger on our minds other than a championship. Remember, I said expecting greatness, you're going to feel like you're doing something more for somebody else. It's not just for you. And so the championship to me had nothing to do with whether Kyrie Irving sprained his ankle, whether James Harden's hamstring, and whether Kevin Durant should have been wearing a size 17 sneaker. Because Kevin Durant also went 0 for 6 in the overtime, but I digress. But to me, in all seriousness, the championship was won when the guys boycott a playoff game a year and a half prior. It brought us together. It brought together. It brought the city together. And that's what I want you guys, when you're thinking about greatness, think about this. This is one simple thing you can always wrap your mind around. Am I doing something, a cause that's bigger or better? It's just going to work for other people other than just me. All right. The foundation of greatness is planning. So you have to have a plan to be great, right? So you have to work harder than the next person. You have to have a plan to be better. So Metcalfs, how tall are you guys right now?
5'8".
5'8"?
5'10".
Guys, 5'10"?
I'm like 5'2", 5'3".
Okay, and how old are you, Fortnite kid? Braylon, how old are you?
I'm 11. I'm 11 and a half.
11 and a half. So what do you think, Braylon, what do you like to play? What do you like to do?
I like to play basketball. I like to game. I like to draw, and I like to explore new things.
Awesome. So let's just do basketball because it's kind of fits for this conversation right now. What do you think, Braylon, from a planning standpoint, you would have to do to be better than you are? You're 11.
Mhm.
What would you have to do in order to be better when you get 12? What do you think some of the things you'd have to do? You're going to grow anyway, so you don't have to say grow. Like God will take care of that part. So what will you have to do to get better next year? And Metcalf, I want you to get ready to think of this answer too. And Jamal, I want you to get ready to answer too. What do you have to do to get better? What is your plan? What's the plan of action to get better at basketball for next year?
Maybe to let's see, to maybe eat more healthier, drink I drink more water.
Down, bro. Braylon says, eat healthier.
Put in the work.
Put in the work.
Work hard.
Put in the work.
Don't slack.
The work. Don't slack.
And don't give up.
I like that one. Don't
and
slack.
Keep going.
And don't give up. That's awesome. So I got eat healthier, put in the work, don't slack, don't give up, and you had one more.
It was what did I say?
You got a bunch
I said I think I said keep going.
Keep going. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Metcalf, give me a couple more about planning. How are we gonna plan? You guys are 5'8", you said?
Yes. I'm 5'2".
What's your sport and what do you like to do? What is it, or if it's not sports, what do you love to do?
I love playing basketball.
Playing basketball. So let's get a plan of action. How old are you?
I'm 14.
14. So by the time you're 15, what's the plan of action? You can add, Braylon had eat healthier, put in the work, don't slack, don't give up, keep going. Give me two more that you think you can do to plan to be great.
Stretch.
Say it again. Stretch.
Stretching. Get loose. Shoot lots of shots. Get your jump shot right.
That's good. Lots of shots.
What do you got, Tom?
I got drink protein shake.
Say it again.
Drink protein shake.
Protein shake. Okay. Those are great. Thank you. So you have one more? Come on. Yep.
Working out.
Working out?
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting. Conditioning.
Yeah.
Working out. Conditioning. Awesome. Perfect. Anybody got another one for me? Jamal, you got a couple for me?
Yes, sir, I do. To get better.
Planning. We're gonna plan on getting better. Yeah.
Since I'm going off to college, well, this is my last year then going to college. You gotta watch film.
Watch film, yes, sir. That's great for planning. Watch film.
You gotta work on your craft every day. Well, mostly every.
Work on your craft. Love it.
You can also do a little team get together and go over which player is more important, what's the offense, defense, what's the plan. So yeah.
Perfect. Get together with your team. Those are perfect. really good. Those answers that you guys gave me. Eat healthier, put in the work, don't slack, don't give up, keep going. Protein shakes. I'm going with that, Braylon. I'm not a big protein shake guy. And then watch film, work on your craft, get together with your teammates and work. All those things are awesome when you're planning to expect greatness and expecting greatness. So hopefully my last point on Giannis is when Giannis had 50 points, 15 for 16 from the free throw line in the game 6 of last year. Did anybody watch the Phoenix game 6 last year when he went for the 50 piece?
Yeah.
Well, I've been in Greece with Giannis for the last 2 years. I've been in Greece for the last 2 summers, I should say, for about 3 months total. And so watching game 6, when he goes for 50, makes 15 or 16 from the free throw line, it wasn't a surprise or a shock to me because I knew all the things that you guys just mentioned. I'd watched him do for the last 2 years, planning, working hard, eating healthy, shooting a bunch of shots. I think one of the Metcalfs said that, like, yes, getting lots of shots. So it's so funny when I hear guys or commentators say, oh, he's got to work on his shot. Trust me when I tell you, he's doing the planning and the working on his shot. So when those moments of greatness happen, when those moments, right, Jamal, when that moment comes next year in college, you'll already have planned for it. Okay, so planning, character, all these things, right, Braylon? Eating healthier. These are all the things. So greatness just doesn't pop up on you. It just doesn't happen. For all the things that people say about Giannis's shots or his three-point shooting, I kid you not, he won't mind me saying this. Matter of fact, he'll pretty much be happy that I'm telling you guys this. Giannis can make 50 out of 55 three-pointers every day, every single day. And so when he's starting to make them in the game, it's something that I've seen him prepare for, something that he's planned for. And then character. Remember we talked about character? The character is you got to say no to social media, no to peers. Remember what character is? Doing what is who you are when people aren't watching. So you're planning, as Braylon said, eating protein. So instead of going to get my 8-piece Popeyes today, I might go and have my protein shake, what Braylon said. So character, eating the proper way, working out the proper way when people aren't watching. That's who you are. That's who Giannis is. He's great when people aren't watching. So Jamal, being great at practice is great, is awesome. Being great in games, when I say when the popcorn is popping, that's even better. But the greatness comes from what you do when nobody's watching. That's where you're going to become the greatest player and the greatest, have the greatest experience. So doing things, expecting greatness and being bigger than yourself, doing something for other people. I have a son that plays college basketball. I'll say this last thing, and I want to have some open dialogue. But I have a son who plays college basketball here in Milwaukee. He plays at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. He had 14 points last night. So I was getting ready to talk bad about him, but he had 14 points last night. So I think I'll say some good. I'm kidding. But the one thing I always tell my son, his name is Vin Baker Jr. If you guys ever want to watch his games or something, but he plays for the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. So he had one thing I've always told Vin Jr. growing up. He's always wanted to be the next big thing. And I always tell him, Vin, and he has siblings, like my other kids. And I said, Vin, in order for you to be great, your sisters and your brother and your mom, they have to matter to you. Sometimes you got to think about them. Because I always say this, I want you guys to remember this about thinking about somebody else. Sometimes Jamal, when running and conditioning gets hard for you, you might stop if it's just you. You might say, man, I had enough. I'm tired, I can't take it anymore. But when you think about that person that you love, or that other person that needs you to go the extra sprint, the extra mile, it'll give you some extra oomph to go and do it. When you think about someone else, think about somebody you love, think about somebody who's watching, whether that's a little brother, a little sister, or a mom or a dad or a cousin that needs Jamal to go the extra mile. And so I'll share this with you guys, the last thing, and I'll open up for dialogue, and I'd be remiss to not saying it. So I struggled with something that stalled out my greatness. I struggled with addiction for years. And my addiction ultimately stopped me from being great. It probably kept me out of the Hall of Fame. And I had to come to terms with, I've been great at basketball, and now this thing has stalled my greatness. How do I become great again when I'm in this bad spot of addiction? And so the one thing that helped me get out of this place of addiction, where it was me, I need to be in this space, I need to do this every day, was I need to think about my children. I need to think about my parents. I need to think about the people who love me. And so when I did that, I changed my life around and I stopped my addiction. I became sober. And so I'll celebrate 11 years of sobriety in April. And thank you. I'll celebrate 11 years of sobriety. And so here comes, to me, the great part. Not only will I celebrate 11 years of sobriety, I will open up my own recovery center here in Milwaukee.
Wow. Wow.
So the fun part for me is, the awesome part, the blessing is that I'm sober and I've changed my life and I'm on the right path. But the greatness now comes that I'm going to have an opportunity to open up a recovery center to help other people. Remember, I said helping other people. That's where the greatness comes. So with that, I'll open up the floor for you guys to ask any question that you guys want to ask me. I don't care if it's about Giannis, for Chris or Drew, the Bucks, whatever you want to ask me, I'll open up the floor for you guys to ask it.
I got a question. So, I just want some advice on, like, how should I be successful when I'm playing next year at the next level for college basketball? That's all I want.
Yeah, so Jamal, that's a great question. So I would say all the things that we just talked about, make sure you prepare. Physically, mentally, and spiritually, make sure you prepare for the next level. Because to be honest with you, Jamal, you don't know or haven't experienced the competition level, right? You don't know what you're going to be playing against: taller people, faster people, people probably with more talent than you faced, right, in your high school career. So the only thing you can do is prepare for it. You don't want to go underprepared. So prepare yourself physically, lifting, conditioning, as Braylon said, eating the right way, and then prepare yourself spiritually to get, because I'll tell you this, Jamal, it's not going to be easy, right? And don't think because you hit a bump in the road, or the guys will be faster or bigger, taller, or you're just averaging a couple of points, and it's supposed to be that way. My freshman year at the University of Hartford, I averaged 4.9 points a game. So some would say 4.9 points more than a dead man, right? I averaged 4.9 points a game. By the time I left the University of Hartford, I was averaging 29 points a game. So your first year, like any freshman, is going to be your toughest year. But what you can do for that, Jamal, is prepare yourself, right? The things that we talked about. And then even in preparation to be great and expecting greatness, part of being great is having a tough, first year. You're not gonna be a superstar the first year. Giannis was 18. When you get a chance, Jamal, just look at his first year numbers and his second year numbers. So prepare yourself, as we talked about, and go the extra mile in your work ethic, and make the cause bigger than you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Thank you. I appreciate it.
Are you 6'11"?
Yes, I'm six. I will say this, Braylon. I was 6'11" when I was 23. Now I'm 50, so I'm probably about 6'8". No, I'm 6'10.5".
I have a question.
Corey.
There you go.
Okay, so like what drills do you recommend for like a 10-year-old or around that age?
So what's your name? Aiden? Aiden, hey Aiden. So I would recommend ball handling. So all the things skillful, like working on your handle, dribbling through cones, constantly working on your ball handling drills. I think it's okay. I've said Giannis enough, so now I'll start talking about other players. I think Kyrie Irving is the most skilled basketball player I've ever seen. Right? And how tall is Kyrie Irving? Maybe like 6'1"?
Yeah.
So you can be 6'1", 6'2", 5'11", 6 feet. His skill of being able to handle the basketball and shoot it is pretty much the best I've ever seen. So I would suggest Aiden to work on ball handling, positioning, and shooting.
Okay.
Those two things will take you a long way.
I have a question, Ben.
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, Ben. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us, man. This has been powerful. Hey, just can you elaborate on the psychological part of the game and how do you prepare? You guys are playing at the highest level. It's got to be more mental than physical at this point. Can you talk to the kids about the psychological part of the game or just life? You know, how do you prepare yourself mentally?
Oh, 100%. I forgot the percentages of what they say sport is. I think it's like 30% physical, 20% physical, or 70%. It's like the highest part is the psychological part. And so the preparation psychologically, a lot of it goes in. Is this Joe that I'm talking to?
Yes.
That's
So,
correct.
Yeah, Joe, a lot of it is, and not to sound like I'm just repeating myself about what we talked about, but a lot of the psychological part of sport is the preparation, the planning. And so you can deal with losses, in my opinion. You can deal with losses better when you've prepared and when you've planned, like you've planned your body for the physical, the physical haul of it. You've prepared yourself physically for the psychological aspect of it. Kevin Durant is going to make shots. Like the one thing, just so when he makes 10 shots in a row, our guys don't psychologically say, oh my God, there's nothing we could do. We may not be able to stop Kevin Durant, but there is a way that we can win the game. So I think when you psychologically prepare for a game, a season, practices, just your preparation of being in shape. I think I told Braylon or someone this, like, you know that you've gotten up 100 shot or made 500 shots in a week. You know that you're in condition. When the popcorn's popping, when the game is on, the psychological part will be intact because you've prepared. It's like I think boxing is the most grueling sport in the ever. Like it's just the tough to me just watching. I've never done it. But just I'm a bigger boxing fan than I am a basketball fan because I think boxing is the ultimate test of preparation. It's like as soon as the bell rings, all that to the top. Right? And so I think Floyd Mayweather and his mantra is hard work, dedication. Now he's super talented, but he's always said hard work and dedication. I've always remembered those words, hard work and dedication. So I think for the psychological piece, I can encourage you guys that, as Braylon said earlier, eat healthier, put in the work. All those things will have you prepared. And I know that sounds cliche, but there's no getting around that. You guys know the saying that hard work will always beat talent that doesn't work hard. So hard work will always beat talent that doesn't work hard. That's just that saying is all about preparation to me.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Joe.
Ben, real quick, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I have a lot of kids that I work with and I train, and I remember a story. And as an athlete at a high level, compete at a high level, when you're playing against the best,
Mm-hmm.
when you're playing the big game, a lot of time kids settle for thinking they're less than, thinking they can't compete.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, they're weak in those areas, right? I remember coaching a high school player who's 6'9", is a great player. Come to me and he works hard. He did all those things, prepared. A day before state championship game, he came to me in my office and said, "Coach, I got no confidence." It's the day before state championship game because he's fearful. He's the big lights now, popcorn's cooking. He's afraid. He know college coaches are coming to see him. He's a senior. He's got to go to school. He's freezing up. And he says, in practice, he couldn't throw it in the ocean that day. And he goes, "Coach, I can't throw it in the ocean. There's something wrong with my shot. I need to get in the gym." I said, "How many shots did you shoot this week? How many shots you shot over the summer, over the last 3 years, the last 4 years?" And I said, he said, "I shot millions, Coach." I said, "Well, let me tell you something. It's not in your shot. It's in your head.
Right.
It's in your head."
Right.
Speak to the mental part of how when you're playing in a big game. 9 times out of 10, as an athlete of being an all-star, being who you are, you could pretty much tell the kind of game you're going to have before the game, right? And if you were mentally ready, how tough it's going to be and struggle before that game, right?
Yes.
So you had to be ready. You can tell if you're going to go out and give somebody 30 tonight.
Yes. Yes.
Before the game, right?
Yes.
And you knew in warm-up you're going to struggle if your head wasn't right, right?
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because I'm so tired of these kids coming to me and say, "Coach, they worked their butt off. Oh man, no, it's in your head. You've got to have this ready." Yeah. And so talk a little bit about that, because I know when you go out and get to 30, 40, I've seen you in some of your games, you come out, you on fire. That game, that was determined before the game, before a tip-off. You knew it was your day, right?
100%. And that's a great question or great point that I'll elaborate on is like, once you do the preparation, like we're creatures of habit, right? So if I go out and shoot in the morning or shoot in the week, I got a big game on Friday. Let's say the game is on Friday. Let's say game 6 is on Friday. And Thursday, I put up 1,000 shots. We are creatures of habit. I really want you guys to pay attention to this. So if Friday is game 6 and Giannis puts up 1,000 shots on Thursday or Wednesday and he makes 600, the only thing, in my opinion, the thing that will throw Giannis off, or Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday, other great players, is be careful of what you put in that system prior to getting to the game. Like if you work like this, I will say this about our guys. Our guys do not go out, they don't party, they're not big social media guys. So when they work at the gym, if it's a big game, they're in their rooms, sleeping, meditating, watching film. I think one of our guys said that about watching film. And so I think it was Jamal who said it. But what you do from your preparation to game time is massive. So I don't even play anymore, guys. And I can tell you that, but I'm a coach. I don't like a lot of noise in between the preparation for the game to game time. So I scout. Now I'm I scout for the Milwaukee Bucks. So matter of fact, tomorrow we play the Detroit Pistons, and that is my scout. In other words, I'll have to know everything that Detroit does tomorrow when we get ready to play them because it's my scout. So from now, after I get off this call with you guys to tomorrow night's game, the only thing I'm going to be thinking about is Cade Cunningham, the Detroit Pistons, and what they like to run. Not what their record is, not what our record is. I can only think about. So to answer your question, Walter, like once you do the preparation, social media, friends, peers, you got to block that stuff out, because to me, the only thing that can enter into your preparation or throw off your preparation or hard work is outside variables. Don't let a lot of outside. If you guys ever heard LeBron James say he turns off social media when it's time for the playoffs to start, that's because he wants to be locked in on one thing and one thing on. Doesn't matter how talented LeBron James is, he needs to block out all the noise. And listen, guys, I don't care if you're LeBron James, myself, Aiden, Braylon, we all can let noise into our world. If you're working hard and you have a goal and you're expecting greatness, whatever that noise is, whether it's social media, whether it's peers, you have to block it out in order to get the best. And guys, if you miss shots and don't make shots, it won't because, as Walter said, it won't be because, man, I worked on it and I don't know what happened. I can tell you 9 times out of 10, you let something come in between your preparation and the game time.
Good stuff.
You mentioned, Ben, you mentioned the word meditation, and I used to play basketball, and I was taught the skill of visualization, like seeing the game before you play it.
Mm-hmm.
Do your professional athletes do that? Do they visualize the game and play it in their mind before they stepped on the court?
So that's a great question, Joe. I'll give you guys something that we do here in Milwaukee that will help you guys. Any coaches or anyone, it's great for players. One thing that Coach Budenholzer does in his organizations and in our program is we have something we call vitamins. And vitamins are individual players come in, and I'll actually show you we have these names and times and slots. Vitamin schedule. Names, times, slots, right? So each player has 20 minutes to work on their game by themselves. And what that does is, to your question, Joe, to me, it allows that player to play the game out in those 20 minutes. We work on their strengths. We work on what they're going to be, what they're going to do in the game. If you shoot threes, or if you're a point guard who comes off pick and rolls and shoot threes, we're going to do that in the 20-minute vitamin. We're going to do it within our system. What we do, we're going to put you exactly in the position that you'll be in the game in those vitamins. So when you're working on things, and coaches in particular, we like to take these guys and get them separate so they can play the game the way they play it, or the way they'll play it at 7 o'clock. We like to get them individually by themselves with one coach, and we put them through a 20-minute vitamin. So if Chris Middleton's doing his vitamin, Chris is going to shoot threes and mid-ranges, and Drew Holiday is going to shoot threes, and he's going to do exactly what Drew Holiday does. So I think that's a big thing that we do here is in our program is we allow the players to play their game before the game. And a lot of times it's so funny. I joke around because we get to the game and players will be doing exactly what they did in their vitamin. And we might joke around like, we must have did no passing in your vitamin. Right? Yeah. But it's important to have, and especially for the young guys, to work on your game individually. And especially coaches, like anybody who's coaching young people, make sure you give them the time, because it's hard to bring a misconception is, yes, team. A lot of times individuals have to know exactly what their roles are in order to incorporate it into a team. And I think a lot of coaches miss that sometimes, because the last thing you want a player to do is try to figure out what he can and cannot do in a team setting, in a game setting. So that's why we have these things called vitamins where we work on, it's the concept is like you take vitamins. Everybody's vitamin is different.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, man. It's gotta be a joy for you, man, to coach these amazing athletes, but high character guys. That's why I'm a Milwaukee Buck fan, man, because the character on that team is amazing, man. All the players that I see on your squad, man, they are team first. They're just about winning, supporting each other, man. I love that, man. It's great to see, those men do that and show our young kids it's bigger than just putting the ball in the basket. It's about character. So it's got to be.
No, it is, Jordan. I will say this. I new people come to our program sometimes, to your point about character. And I'd say this all the time. If you walk into our locker room and there were no names above the players and they were sitting in there, I kid you not. This is what about how high of character guys we have. If you walked into our locker room and there was no names, I would have to tell you who Giannis was, because you're not going to see him being gaudy. Chris, you're not going to see him being loud. Drew, you're not going to. I would have to tell you, oh yeah, that's Giannis. Oh yeah, that's Chris. If there were no names above the lockers. That's kind of character, kind of the type of guys we're blessed and fortunate to coach around here.
Speaking of that, great point. One of my favorite saying is that you win with character kids.
Mm-hmm.
You can build organization with character kids.
Yep.
In the coaching fraternity, and it's a small fraternity, whether it's high school, college, or pro, small fraternity.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have character, you're not coaching character kids, the job becomes a dreadful experience. You hate coming to work every day. But if you're coaching character kids, it's a joy. I can see the joy in your face. I can see it in your spirit. You enjoy what you do. You have a chance to win now. You're going to beat those teams that has questionable character, because any little thing can throw them off. If you got a character that's engraved in their spirit, in their culture, in their coaching, your culture, you got a chance to beat all these teams. So when everybody's talking about, well, Golden State's going to win 3 in a row, and this no, my money's on Milwaukee Bucks. My teams like that. My money's that's who I watch play. Character kids. I root for character athletes. I don't root for the guys. He's an a-hole. He's an a-hole. I can't root for that kid. That's not good. So that's why it attracted me to you, because of your character. I knew your character.
Thank you.
I can't wait to get to Milwaukee. My wife's from Milwaukee. I told you that. And so when I get back to Milwaukee, we're gonna come see the Bucks, and we're gonna break bread and meet your wife. So I'm excited about that, bro. So just appreciate you, man, and we're huge Bucks fans, man, and huge Vin Baker's fan. I want you to talk a little about your book, because I definitely want the kids to read your book. So if you want to share a little bit about your book, I want them to get to know you and become some of your biggest fans. Because I know
So thank you, Walter. I wrote a book a few years ago called God in Starbucks. And I talked about my journey. I talked about this a little bit before, about my journey with addiction. So once I was a pro and all NBA and won a gold medal and all this fun stuff and had my own brand Jordan shoe, I had this epic fall from grace in which I lost everything, my talents, my skill, my money, my everything. And I had this epic fall from grace that was well documented. You guys can Google some of that. But so the God in Starbucks book was written because I went to, after I hit rock bottom, or when I put it in quotes because rock bottom is everyone's got their own. So mine was well documented. And so this rock bottom for me was, I went to work at Starbucks for a year, and it was this I found out what trending was, because when it was found out that I was working at Starbucks, it trended. Like, I didn't even know what trending was, but the story had gone viral and was trending that former NBA all-star, all whatever, is now working at Starbucks. And I have to tell you guys that was one of the greatest experiences of my life, to hit that rock bottom and to have to reset my life. I had to bring back all my morals, all my values. So think about being an NBA all-star and having all this money, and then waking up one day because of choices that you made, waking up one day and be serving coffee. Like, literally was waking up and making coffee, serving coffee, and basically making earning a minimum wage salary. But the great part about it, as we talked about earlier, was I had to go back to all the stuff some of the stuff that Braylon was talking about. I had to start believing in myself. First of all, I had to, as I talked about, get sober. And then I had to turn my life around and start refocusing on other people. And believe it or not, guys, even when I was working there, I'll in this Starbucks part of the story. Even when I was working at Starbucks for that year, my mind was like, there's better things to come. And I don't mean necessarily basketball or winning a world championship. When I was a barista, I kid you not, you guys are gonna laugh at this. I'm like, one day I'm gonna be a district manager at Starbucks. That was my goal. I'm like, okay, I'm here.
Vin Baker.
Right, because one day I'm gonna go from being a barista to a manager to a district manager. It's gonna happen. But fortunately, by the grace of God, I got called back and got a chance to coach Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday. But even in that role, I was like, I'm gonna be the best darn barista that you've ever seen. But by the grace of God, thank God that he looked beyond my faults and saw my needs and knew that I wanted to come back and be a mentor to these guys and have this opportunity to speak to you guys today. So it's been a heck of a journey, but it's been a journey I wouldn't trade it in for the world, because I've seen exactly what the power of God can do in a person's life. And so I'm ecstatic to have this opportunity to share my testimony with you guys about my life journey from NBA All-Star to barista to now world champion NBA coach.
Wow. One last story I want to share with everybody, because it really touched me.
Mm-hmm.
I shared part of it, but I want to hear you tell your story where you share with me the NBA championship night when you guys won it.
Mm-hmm.
Share that story with me, what you did and what happened and how you felt. So if you mind sharing it, because that really touched me, man. And I couldn't wait for you to share with everybody.
Yeah, so the night we won the NBA championship, and I just shared a little bit with you guys about my journey about, 5 years ago, and it was real. It wasn't like a made up story. I was actually waking up at 3:45 in the morning. I was opening up Starbucks and getting coffee prepared and getting teas prepared. And then, all of a sudden I was blessed to be an NBA coach and celebrate a world championship. Like the biggest award you could possibly get in basketball is winning a world championship. And that particular night when we won Game 6 against the Phoenix Suns, and everything was happening, the streams was coming down. And if you guys have watched any of the championship celebrations, and when you get to the locker room, it's all this champagne and people celebrating. And I put on my goggles and man, I was so elated and so excited about the journey and I realized that this wasn't me, it was bigger than me. Like this was something that was ordained by God, and he had put me in this space. And man, after all the championship and Giannis is 50 and all the locker room celebration, my apartment is about 5 minutes from the arena. I walked up the street and I went got in my apartment and I turned the lights off and I went right to sleep. And I was so exhausted, but I was so spiritually overwhelmed that I could be in this place and be in this space after all that I had been through. I was so overwhelmed that my body just literally collapsed in the bed and I went to sleep. And obviously being grateful and thankful about this journey and obviously winning a championship. But you guys have a real opportunity to experience that. Braylon, Aiden, all you guys have an opportunity to experience exactly what I experienced Game 6, the night of Game 6. If you guys just practice and do the things that we've talked about for the last 30 to 45 minutes, you have a chance to experience greatness. And I believe you guys are going to experience it too. And I can't wait to be sitting back and hearing your stories in the next few years. So thank you. Thank you, Walter. And thank you guys for listening.
Wow. Everybody come off of mute.
Awesome. Powerful.
I'm so full,
Thank you,
brother.
Thank you, brother.
There are no words, man. There's no words. All we can say, man, is thank you. And so glad that God is using you, man. You have a tremendous story. I can't wait to read your book. We're going to be in touch. Guys, please come off and give Coach Baker, All-Star Vin Baker, gold medal winner Vin Baker, give him some love. Let's give him a shout out, show him how much we love and appreciate. Can we all do that? Love you,
you,
bro.
guys.
Love you, bro.
Thank you. Love you
Go
too.
Bucks. We'll be watching you,
Bucks.
man. Thanks,
Thank
bro.
you. Thanks,
Love
thanks,
you.
brother. Thank
Thanks,
you,
bro.
guys.
Mad love. Thanks, man. Wow, wow, wow. Was that awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was epic.
Yeah.
Like
It was epic.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're excited, show somebody you're excited. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Was that awesome?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
You gotta learn how to get
Sir.
excited around here. You can't be around me being no dud, being boring. You gotta be excited. Coach Jordan don't walk in no room being boring. Do I?
No,
Sir.
no, sir.